Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're in great company. We've got thousands of listeners who have a thirst for continual improvement and raising standards in business. Whether your interest is in quality, sustainability, or risk standards, I'd love to welcome you as a member to our online platform for all things ISO, the ISology Hub. The ISology Hub is the leading place to get access to all of your online resources, from in-depth training courses, through to our very popular coffee break training, to templates and action plans and many other resources to help raise standards. As a member, you get access to over 100 courses, taking you from learner to practitioner to leader. The ISology Hub has all the resources that you need, which will really help to make your life easier and to help improve compliance in those business-critical areas. So if you'd like access to learning and compliance resources ranging from data privacy to environmental management, anti-bribery, business continuity, quality, health and safety, to name just but a few, the list is endless actually, then we'd love for you to come and join us. Just head over to the isologyhub.com.
Hello and welcome to the ISO Show. I'm Rachel Churchman and I'm the Communications Manager here at Blackmores. Today we have a guest that you may be familiar with from previous episodes, and that is our Technical Director, Rachel Churchman. And today she'll be talking about a fairly new standard called ISO 42001, the best practice standard for AI management. And more specifically, we'll be diving into the very first step of the journey towards implementing ISO 42001, which is of course carrying out a gap analysis. So first of all, welcome Rachel.
Hi Steph, thanks for having me again.
It's strange to be on the other side of the mic for an interview with you. Usually I'm just editing them. Before we jump into the main meat of the episode, I'd just like to take the chance to highlight that we have an upcoming ISO 42001 workshop, where you can learn how to complete an AI system impact assessment, which is a key tool to help you effectively assess the potential risks and benefits of utilising AI. Rachel will be hosting that workshop on the 5th of December at 2 p.m. GMT, but places are limited, so make sure you register your place sooner rather than later. Any workshop attendees will also get access to some fantastic freebies, such as an AI awareness guide, a free consultation, and the opportunity to grab a free annual membership to our online learning platform, the ISology Hub. A link to register will be available in the show notes. Now, back onto the topic. AI is something of a buzzword for many, though it can't be understated just how much progress AI technology has made in the past few years, with its integration into just about every aspect of our lives. Most apps and software that we use here at Blackmores on a daily basis have gained an AI integration of some form or some AI functionality. Things like Microsoft Teams, Word, and even our main social media platform, LinkedIn. AI's development and explosion onto the scene has been, up until very recently, completely unregulated. Very much a Wild West for any developers hoping to make as much progress and money as they can before professional bodies can step in. Well, it's just about got to that point, and don't get me wrong, I am personally fascinated by AI, but I'm sure anyone who's even slightly tech-savvy can tell you that any technology comes with its own risks, and AI is absolutely no exception. Which is why a standard dedicated to AI management has been published. This standard being ISO 42001. We actually did do 2 episodes explaining the standard itself and its benefits, so go back to episodes 166 and 173 for a more in-depth breakdown. But for the benefit of any new listeners, Rachel, can you give a brief summary of what ISO 42001 actually is?
Yep, sure. ISO 42001, as you mentioned, is the internationally recognised standard for developing an artificial intelligence management system. So this provides the comprehensive framework for any organisation to establish, implement, maintain and continually improve how they implement develop or consume AI in their business. So it aims to ensure that AI risks are understood and mitigated, and that AI systems are developed or deployed in an ethical, secure and transparent manner, taking a fully risk-based approach to responsible use of AI. Much like other ISO standards, it follows the high-level structure and can therefore be integrated with existing ISO management systems, as many of the core requirements are very, very similar in nature. This might make it less scary for businesses that already hold an ISO certification, who are perhaps interested in implementing best practice for AI.
Okay, thank you for that summary. And why would you say it's important for companies who are both developing and using AI?
Well, I think we all understand that AI is now becoming commonplace in our world, and it has been for some time. A good example is the use of Alexa or Siri. Both of these are large language AI models that we all use routinely in our lives. But as you mentioned earlier, AI is now being introduced in many of the technologies that we consume in our working lives. And these are all designed to help make us more efficient and effective. So some common examples being Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is an AI-powered assistant that helps users with tasks like writing emails or creating presentations and even analysing data. For the sort of developer side of things, you've got GitHub Copilot, and this is an AI-powered coding assistant that actually helps developers write code faster and more accurately. Even Google Workspace is incorporating AI into the productivity suite to enhance the features like email writing, document creation, data analysis. And Adobe Photoshop, and that has AI-powered features now like automatic background removal or object selection, and these are all being integrated into the software. And this is not to mention all of the search engines that now have AI inbuilt to help surface relevant information quickly to the consumer. So therefore, organisations do need to be aware of where they're actually consuming AI in their business, as it may have sort of crept in without them being fully aware. And awareness and governance of AI is crucial, and this is for several reasons. So let's just take companies using AI. So they need to ensure they've assessed potential risks of the AI, such as the unintended consequences and negative societal impacts, or even potential commercial data leakage. They also need to ensure that if they're using this AI to support any decision making, that they've ensured their decisions, that have been made or supported by AI systems are fair and unbiased. But it's not all about risk. Everyone seems to think about the negative side of AI, but organisations can also use AI to streamline their processes, helping them become more efficient and effective. Or, actually, it can support innovation for the company in ways perhaps, before AI they wouldn't have considered possible. For companies developing AI, the standard promotes ethical development and deployment of AI systems, again making sure they're fair, transparent and accountable. And it provides that structured approach to risk assessment and governance associated with AI, such as bias, data privacy breaches and security vulnerabilities. And for all, using ISO 42001 as the best practice framework means that organisations can ensure that their AI initiatives are aligned with these ethical principles, also the legal requirements that are emerging, such as the EU AI Act, and just industry best practice as industry becomes more aware of AI. And this will ultimately lead to more trustworthy, reliable and beneficial AI systems for everyone.
Okay, yes, fantastic. I mean, to be honest, that sounds really in line with what we know as the key principles of AI as a whole. So can we look at what the key principles are as outlined in ISO 42001 specifically?
Yes, certainly. So there's a number of key principles outlined in the standard. First and foremost, fairness and non-discrimination, so ensuring that the AI systems treat all individuals and groups fairly without bias. There's emphasis on transparency and explainability. So this is all about making AI systems understandable and accountable by providing clear explanations of what it is that they're actually doing, the decision making that they're undertaking. You've got privacy and security, so we always need to ensure we're protecting personal data and privacy, and also ensuring the security of the AI systems. We've got safety and security, so it's also about prioritising safety and well-being of individuals and the environments by mitigating any potential risks associated with AI systems or decisions that the AI system might inadvertently make. Then you've got environmental and social, so considering the impact of AI on environment and society, promoting sustainable and responsible practices. And lastly, accountability and human oversight, so maintaining human control and responsibility for the AI systems, ensuring that they are operating within those ethical and legal boundaries. So you'll often hear the term human in the loop, and this is vital to ensure that the AI is sanity checked by a human to ensure it hasn't hallucinated or results haven't drifted in any way.
Okay, yeah, that all makes sense. I was going to say the AI data is only going to be as good as what you put in, so it always makes sense just to double check things before you go ahead with anything that it suggests. So moving on then to the focus that we wanted to go into today, which is a gap analysis. So this is the first step that people typically tend to take when they're implementing an ISO standard. So why should people conduct an AI 42001 gap analysis? What's the main aim of it?
Okay, so in a nutshell, any gap analysis is a strategic planning activity to help you understand where you are, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there. And so the ISO 42001 gap analysis will help you identify gaps and pinpoint areas where your AI practices need to meet the ISO 42001 requirements. It aims to conduct a systematic review of how your organisation uses or develops AI, and then assess your current AI management practices against the requirements of the 42001 standard. So this analysis will then help you to identify any gaps where your current practices do not fully meet the standard's requirements. It also helps organisations to understand what good looks like in terms of responsible use of AI. So it should help you prioritise those improvement areas that might require immediate attention, and also identifies those that can be addressed in a more phased approach. It's going to help you understand and mitigate risks associated with AI. It's a risk-based standard. It's also going to help you to develop a roadmap for compliance that will include plans and clear actions identified that can then be project managed through to completion. And as with all ISO standards, it's going to support and enhance AI governance in your organisation. And by demonstrating a proactive approach to AI best practice, undertaking the gap analysis, you're actually, on the first step of being able to demonstrate a commitment to responsible AI practices and subsequently build trust with all your stakeholders as well. So you'll be able to talk about the fact that you are proactively doing something about AI in your business.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine that's a question a lot of people are going to be getting now, especially with, as you say, the EU AI Act coming through. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of questions coming up in tenders and things for people in future. So I'm sure people are wondering, does an ISO 42001 gap analysis differ from a gap analysis for any other ISO standards?
So I would say no. The ISO 42001 gap analysis doesn't differ massively from other ISO standard gap analysis. So anyone who's already had an ISO standard and been through the gap analysis process, they're going to be pretty familiar with it. In terms of likeness, I would say that ISO 42001 is similar in nature to ISO 27001, in as much as there is a supporting annex of controls and objectives that also need to be considered for AI by the organisation. So therefore, the questions being asked will extend beyond just the standard high-level structure format. Now is probably a good time to note that the standard itself is really informative and includes additional annex guidance information. This includes implementation guidance for those specific AI controls, which can sometimes be held in other standards. So for other standards, you'll have maybe something else you've got to buy to get that implementation guidance. AI 42001 wraps it all in the one document, which is really useful. It's also got an annex for potential AI-related organisational objectives and risk sources, and an annex that provides guidance on the use of AI management systems across different domains and sectors and industries. And it also talks about how you can integrate with other management system standards. So personally, I think the standard's pretty comprehensive and value add.
Okay, fantastic. So what should people be looking at in an ISO 42001 gap analysis specifically? Is there anything that they should be focusing on?
So the gap analysis will include areas such as looking at the context of your organisation to better understand what it is that you do, the issues you're facing internally and externally in relation to AI, both now and in the sort of reasonably foreseeable future, and also how you currently engage with AI in your business. So this is going to help you to actually identify your role in terms of AI. So it's likely going to be an AI customer and an AI subject, but also potentially you may be an AI producer or an AI provider if you're developing AI. It's also going to look at the main areas typically captured within any ISO standard to include leadership and governance, policy, roles and responsibilities. It's a risk-based standard, so it's going to be looking at AI risks and your approach to risk assessment and treatment. It does include a specific clause around AI system impact assessment, which is, I think, what we're focusing on our event in later in the year. It's also going to look at AI objectives, the support resources you have in place to manage AI requirements. Importantly, awareness within your business for best practice in terms of AI use. It helps support setting of KPIs, monitoring and measuring. And then from an ISO perspective, you've got your usual internal audit, management review, and helping you manage and track issues through to completion in your business. The AI specific controls look more in depth at things like policies related to AI. And it's not just about putting an AI policy in place. There's actually requirements for you to go and review all of the policies set in your business, because it's going to weave itself into other AI policies in the business as well. It's going to look at your internal organisation in relation to key roles and responsibilities. That includes things like reporting of concerns, so that supports that transparency and explainability. The resources you're going to need for AI systems, and that includes things like, the technical tooling as well as just the knowledge and competence. How you're assessing the impact of AI systems. For those that are doing the AI sort of development life cycle, it is the AI system life cycle requirements. For everyone, it's around data for AI systems, and also information that we're providing to interested parties of AI systems, and the use of AI systems in terms of third parties and customer requirements. So it's quite comprehensive. It's not as big a control set as ISO 27001, but it's definitely asking all the right questions.
You say there's going to be a lot of food for thought for people who've just kind of jumped into the world of AI and not really had any considerations for any of this. I mean, the things in there that I wouldn't have even considered. But yeah, that's important for people to sort of like note that down or document these kind of things in some sort of formal way, because you're going to start getting questions about this, especially if you're a developer of AI in particular. So lastly, I'll just ask you, who should be involved in an ISO 42001 gap analysis?
Yeah, it's hard to give you an exact answer for that one. So, I mean, as we've discussed, gap analysis looks at AI from a number of different angles to include that organisational governance, that includes strategic plans, policies, risk management, through to training and awareness of AI for your staff, through to the sort of the real technical knowledge of how and where AI is either used or potentially developed within the organisation. So this means it's likely there's going to be multiple roles and people that are going to be involved in the gap analysis over its duration. If I explain how we do it at Blackmores, it seems to be a sane approach. We will always provide a gap analysis agenda that clearly defines what we're going to be covering during the gap analysis, and who typically could be involved in the different sessions, because we do break it out into sessions. And we just find this is the best way to help organisations plan the support needed to answer all the questions required. I think it's really important to treat the gap analysis as a drains up review, warts and all, and that helps organisations really get the most benefit out of the gap analysis. It ensures that all gaps are identified, and it's when all gaps are identified that you can really put in place an effective plan to support the organisation to bridge those gaps and put them on the path to AI best practice for their business.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Well, I think that just about wraps up this episode. So thank you so much about explaining more about ISO 42001 itself and breaking down that first step towards implementation. Well, before I go, I'd like to take the chance just to remind listeners once again about that workshop I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. If you want some guidance on how to assess the risks and benefits of utilising AI in your business, then make sure you register for that workshop before the 5th of December 2024. And again, a link to that will be in the show notes. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up to date with all our latest episodes. And if you have a moment to spare, please leave us a nice shiny 5-star review. They really do help us to reach a wider audience, and we'd love to hear your feedback. That's all from us, and we look forward to joining you again on another episode of the ISO Show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.